Hey, good morning everybody. I'm hopping on today to show you how to make a really easy but delicious dessert. It's called Beehives, and they're like these little delicious rolls that are filled with cream cheese and topped with a simple syrup. Fantastic, you guys. I can't wait to show you how easy they are to make. I made them for a barbecue the other day and we destroyed them. So my family, it's a family favorite. My girls always want me to make them. They're so good with coffee or chai. You have to make them because they're so easy, there's no excuses. So let me take a sip of my coffee and then we're gonna get rolling because this is super easy. So I have some friends coming in from California and this is gonna be the perfect dessert to go with our coffee. So in a bowl, you're gonna wanna take 3/4 of a cup of milk and you wanna make sure that it's lukewarm. So what I do is I just stick it in the microwave for about 40 seconds and this is low-fat milk. Low-fat milk is okay. So I know you're all surprised that it's low fat and it's me talking, but it is low fat, so one kind of drink, the skim. So 3/4 of a cup, and you're gonna warm it for 40 seconds. You're gonna put that in a bowl. And now I've already made one batch of dough because I'm making a double recipe. So I'm only gonna do 3/4 of a cup in here. And to the 3/4 of a cup, we're gonna add some oil. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm just glancing at my notes to make sure that I give you the right measurements. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil right in there. Now we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of honey. Okay, 2 tablespoons of honey. And if you do the oil first, your honey's gonna fall right out of that measuring spoon. So that's a good little trick to have. So we're gonna put that in there. And now we're gonna add in our yeast. And you're gonna need 2 teaspoons of yeast. So I use this instant yeast by Fleshman's, and you're just gonna use 2 teaspoons of that. Let's make sure we're not forgetting anything. 2 teaspoons of yeast, and the dough smells so good, you guys, when you make it. So let me recap. In here, 3/4 of a cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. We've got 2 tablespoons of honey, and 2 teaspoons of yeast. Then just take a whisk and just whisk it until all the ingredients are mixed together. Now the nice thing about this recipe is you don't have to sit and let the yeast, for 15 minutes or anything, activate for 15 minutes. If you have a good yeast, once you mix it, you're just gonna leave it here for a minute. And once you mix it, you're gonna be able to go and get your flour and just put it right in. Now, the original recipe that I found said you need to sift the flour. I've never done that, and they turn out perfectly every single time. So why do the extra step, right? I mean, they turn out delicious as is. So if you go to your bowl and you see that there's a little bit of foam on top, that means that you've got a very good yeast in there, okay? So what we're gonna add now is we're gonna add this dough is so easy, you guys, it's mind-blowing. We're gonna add, I just got flour everywhere. We're going to add 2 cups of flour. 1, so easy. You guys are gonna love this. 2, okay, 2 cups of flour, and then keep a little bit of flour in the cup on the side because you're gonna need it in a minute. Okay, so 2 cups of flour in there. We're gonna add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Let me get my measuring spoons. 1/2 teaspoon here of salt. Right like that. And we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2. Okay, baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. Make sure you got the right thing. Okay, now all you have to do is mix this together. And this is your dough. Okay, so you're gonna mix, it comes together really easily. Just scrape it around with your hand, and it's gonna form a really nice ball of dough. And this dough is so good, you guys. After you bake these rolls and you bite into those rolls, oh my goodness, it's delicious. Okay, so you're just gonna keep mixing, and it's gonna form a nice ball of dough. And you don't want it to be super sticky. If you're finding that it's really sticky, add a pinch more flour, but it should be perfect. Those measurements, I've never had any issues. I think it's the perfect recipe, the perfect amount of everything. Okay, so now let me show you. Okay, whoops. So there is how it looks, okay? It's kind of squishy and spongy. And so what you need to do next is you're gonna take that extra flour. Let me put all my stuff away. You probably can't see my cutting board, but just take a little bit of flour and you're gonna sprinkle it on your cutting board, and you're just gonna knead your dough. You're just putting that flour so it does not stick to the cutting board, okay? That's the only reason you're adding more flour. Get rid of that. And then you just sit here and you knead the dough just for about 3-4 minutes. Just work it, okay? And then what's gonna happen is you're gonna take it, this is the other one I made, and you're gonna put it in a bowl. I covered the top of the bowl with a plate, and put your dough in there, cover it with a towel, and you're gonna let it rest for 1 hour, okay? So we're gonna cover it, and we're gonna leave that beautiful dough for 1 hour. And then when we come back, what we're gonna do is we're gonna divide that dough into 20 little balls of dough. And then I'm gonna show you exactly what we're gonna do with it. Okay, so now while my dough is sitting over there rising, what I'm gonna do is prepare the rest of the things, and we're gonna make the simple syrup, okay? The simple syrup, you can buy simple syrup already made in like a glass jar and just use that if you want. If you don't have it, this is an easy way to make simple syrup. And I put a little twist on the original recipe because I add a teaspoon of rose water. If you do not have rose water, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Just do it without it. So for the simple syrup, you need a medium saucepan, and I'm gonna put it over like a medium-high heat. And to the saucepan, you're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of sugar, okay, white sugar, just 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. You're gonna add 1/2 cup of water. You're gonna add 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm at the very bottom of this honey right now, so I have just enough for a double recipe. So 2 tablespoons of honey. Yep, slowly coming out of there. All right, and then I'm gonna wait until after the simple syrup boils to add my rose water. So what you wanna do is bring this, give it a stir. I use my whisk, give it a nice stir so that all of that's combined in there. Just keep it on a medium-high heat until it starts to boil. Let it boil for a minute, then turn it way down and let it simmer for another about 3 to 5 minutes. You have to be really careful when you're doing a simple syrup, because if you burn it, you're gonna have to start over. So you don't want it to start to caramelize. You just want a simple syrup. So bring it to a boil, turn down the heat, and let it just simmer for another 3 to 5 minutes. And I know it's gonna seem really thin, and that's okay. Don't worry about it if it's not super thick. You want it to be a little bit thinner because we're gonna pour it over the top of those delicious rolls when we're done. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go watch this until it starts to boil, then I'll turn it down to a simmer. I'm gonna grab the cream cheese because that's what's coming up next. Okay, so now I'm just gonna get my cream cheese out, and this one is an 8-ounce block. And because let me just do it the one recipe. I'm doubling mine, so I have to do it a little different. So for you, you're gonna need 1 block of cream cheese, okay? And you're gonna cut it into 20 little cubes, okay? About 1 teaspoon cubes, all right, of cheese. So I just cut mine, and then I just cut them into little tiny squares, like about that big, because that's gonna go inside of that delicious roll, okay? So you only need about a teaspoon of cream cheese. So go and cut your cream cheese into little teaspoon-sized squares, and then while your syrup is boiling and you're watching that, and occasionally keeping an eye on it, make sure it doesn't burn, occasionally give it a stir, go cut your little cream cheese up, and our dough is almost ready. So I'm gonna show you exactly how to put these together. Okay, so now my simple syrup started to boil. So what I did is I turned it down into like a low setting, and I'm gonna let it just simmer for the next 3-4 minutes. And while it's doing that, all right, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of the rose water, all right? So 1 teaspoon of rose water. Let me grab my teaspoon. Hold on, let me rinse it off. Okay. 1 teaspoon of rose water. I doubled my syrup batch, so you only need 1, I'm gonna need 2. You only need 1 teaspoon, and be very careful with rose water because it's extremely fragrant and it can overpower your syrup and ruin the whole thing. You don't want to do that. So this simple syrup is looking great. I'm going to take it off in just a minute. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I have 2 round cake pans that I sprayed with non-cooked sticking spray. You want to make sure you spray them, and you're going to need, you just need 1. I'm doing a double recipe, so just 1 small cake pan like this, round cake pan. Make sure you spray it with your non-cooked sticking spray. I have all my cream cheese ready to go here, and I'm going to kind of set it over here on the side. And let me grab this other one really quick, this clean cutting board. So now we're almost ready to start working with our dough, okay? So let me put on some gloves. Putting on some gloves here, and let me show you the first dough that I made, okay? This one's been sitting for a while. So by the time you're done doing everything, maybe give it an extra, you know, your dough's got to at least rise, I would say a minimum of 40 minutes. Hour is better if you can leave it that long. Make sure that you leave it because you definitely want the dough to rise. So as it's rising, it's going to start to look like that. It's almost going to be double in the size. It's beautiful dough. It's so easy to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of flour and put it on my work surface. You can use a wooden cutting board. My beautiful wooden cutting board didn't make the move here. The movers forgot to pack it, and it was the last minute, and they said, nope, you can't bring it, because there's nowhere to put it in the truck. I was so pissed. Okay, so now I don't have a beautiful wooden cutting board anymore. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just kind of flattening the dough out a little bit into a circle. All right, just like this. Okay, just like that, and I'm gonna cut it in half. Because remember, you're gonna make 20 little individual size balls. I'm gonna remove my simple syrup from the flame, from the heat. All right, now I'm gonna cut that dough in half. Okay, and I'm going to cut it into each side into 10 pieces. Okay, so each side, I'm gonna roll it kind of out into like a log shape because for me, that gives me an easier way to like cut the dough into even balls. Okay, that's my oven. It's preheated to 350. I think I can cut this into 10 here. So I'm just gonna kind of put it into like a log shape like that, just so that it's easier for me to get 10 pieces, because you want to try to get the dough kind of even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, I got 7. Sometimes I have to readjust. It's okay, because sometimes I cut them too big. So I just kind of roll them up and then I kind of steal from the other ones. And then I get exactly, because a little bit of the dough goes a really long way. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take a little bit from that guy, a little bit from that guy. As long as you end up with 20 pieces of dough, you're fine, okay? You just want to make sure that you have 20 pieces. So then what you're going to do is you're going to have these 20 little pieces of dough. Let me grab my rolling pin. I kind of screwed up there and didn't cut that even, but that's okay. You can fix it, okay? You're just going to take your little ball and you're going to flatten it, okay, into a circle like that. Little circle. And when they bake up, they're going to look perfect. And you're going to take one of your little cubes of your cream cheese and you're going to put it in the middle. Okay, you're going to put it in the middle like that, and you're going to fold up the sides. And the balls are going to look kind of small inside of the baking pan. No worries, they're going to bake up and be gorgeous and get nice and fluffy and big, okay? Okay, so then you're just going to fold the cheese up inside like that, seal it on the bottom, just like so. And you're going to put it in your cake pan, and you're going to arrange all 20 of them in that cake pan, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go finish all of these. And then we're going to put them in the oven. After we do a little egg wash, you're going to get 1 egg, you're going to scramble it up, put about maybe a teaspoon of water in it, mix it, and you're going to use that as an egg wash for the top of them. And then you're going to put them in the oven 350 degrees for 25 minutes, and they're gonna be amazing, and then we're gonna pour our syrup on the top. So let me go finish, and then we'll be back. Okay, so you're gonna put all of your dough in here, all right? Once you fill them with the cheese, you're gonna put them all in here, hence the name, the Beehive. See the shape of it? Now you're gonna take it, and you have your egg wash. You've got 1 egg with about a teaspoon of water, mix it up, use a pastry brush, and you're gonna generously brush the top of your rolls. Once you do that, you're just gonna stick them in the oven, and we're gonna bake them for 25 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we're gonna pull them out, and we're gonna add the syrup. Okay, one more thing. Okay, last time that I took them out of the oven, I put the black sesame seeds on them after. Right now, I'm gonna stick it on there. Since I brushed it with the egg wash, I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle it with the black seeds, and then I'll just top it with the syrup, because this is gonna help the black seeds stick to the rolls. So just sprinkle it with your black seeds. I almost forgot to tell you guys that. All right, I always forget something. Okay, so then just sprinkle them with your black seeds, and now we're gonna put them in the oven for 25 minutes. That's it. And then we're gonna dump the syrup over it, and you're gonna leave them, and then they're gonna be delicious. You can either eat them warm or you can eat them cold, and I'll be back to show you the end result. All right, here's the end result. They've been in the oven for about 25 minutes. You might be able to see my haul on the back counter over there. Robbie just came home from Costco, and I've got all kinds of good wine over there. Anyways, let's finish up our rolls. Didn't you get a good wine, babe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so here are the rolls out of the oven. This is kind of how they look when they come out. Aren't they gorgeous? Really perfect timing. 25 minutes, perfect. And remember, I made a little more syrup than you're gonna need. So I always just like to give it like one little quick little stir, and it's gonna look thin, and that's okay. And you're gonna just take your syrup, don't pour it all at once, just kind of slowly pour it over your rolls, and it's gonna sink down and it's gonna soak up into the roll. Oh my God. And everybody's gonna love these. Definitely put your black seeds on before. Now it's gonna look like there's a lot of syrup in there. Just leave it, it's gonna soak into your rolls, and then you're gonna be able to cut them out of there and eat, and it's gonna be delicious. Okay, so you can see, you're gonna be able to see the syrup up here, but just give it a few minutes and it's gonna start to absorb into the roll, and this is gonna be the most perfect, delicious bite you've ever had in your life. I really wanna eat one, but it's super hot. So I'm gonna give it a minute, and then I'll come back and taste it. Okay, I left them for about 5 minutes and let the syrup soak down into the roll. Say hi. What are you eating? Gnocchi and sausage with kale. I make this a lot because it's an easy meal and it's super tasty. Okay, anyways, so when you're ready to eat these rolls, okay, you're gonna want to take a little knife and go in and kind of cut through them so they're easy to get out of the pan. If you're taking to a party or something, you can easily put a spatula under there and transfer them over to a plate. That's what I did the other day. Now I'm just gonna take one out. I think I cut it good. Oh yes, ma'am. OMG. Look at that. Look at this little bite of heaven right there. Oh, it's still so warm. Oh my God. The cheese. So delicious. Right? You want a bite? Here comes right. It's hot, babe. Be careful, it's super hot. It's hot.
I don't like.
It's really hot, babe. Hot. What do you think? These are Sophie's favorite.
It's sweet, it's sour,
Salty.
it's salty.
Yes.
What do you call it, that stuff on the top?
The syrup?
No, the black stuff.
Oh, the little sesame
The
seeds?
sesames gives it like unique taste. It's amazing.
I'll buy for you.
Thank
That's
you.
it. That's the Beehive. Super easy to make, you guys. My Beehive's missing a little bit. But anyway, I'll post the ingredients below, post the link for the recipe. Don't forget, I add about a teaspoon of rose water. That's the only thing I do differently. It's a fantastic dessert. Everybody's gonna love it. A waffy, and I'll see you next time.